One day I'll remember that's there. Scared the shit out of me. Hello there. Um, you know what? Like, I'm just going to stop doing this thing where I apologize for not being around. But I just, this is an ADHD thing. I've been going through a bit of like weird shit. Like every time I think that there's like that I have it together, there's like a little rug pull here and there. I'm just sort of going through lots of different things. But it was my birthday on the 16th, like 2 days ago, and I turned 45, right? Which I hadn't really. I thought that I thought I'd be more fine with it than I am. But it's not so much that I'm not that I have a problem with. I'm not vain enough, right? I know that one of the benefits of living your life on the internet, right, is that you don't get a lot of sunlight. Yes, I don't look 30, but I'm not, for 45, I look okay, right? I haven't got a lot of sun damage. You don't get a lot of sunlight, right? So it's not so much a vanity thing, even though I am a little bit like, all it takes is just the wrong light direction and I look 100 years old. You've seen that with my streams. I have to let go of that. I have to let go of the vanity thing because every time I watch back a thing, I'm going, I want to nip that, tuck that, Botox that, shift that. And it's like, nope, no, you can't do that. You have to be okay with that part. So I'm fine with that. But, there is that statistical thing where it's like, well, after 40, women become invisible. Women become, you get ignored. Like I've seen that actual shift in the last couple of years where men in tech in particular don't listen to you anymore. They don't think that you've got anything to say. They defer to the men, but the women just tend to be sort of, invisibilized, for lack of a better word, right? So I know all of this stuff. I also know that 45 is not that old, right? I also know that every day is a blessing. Having been someone who like has nearly died several times. Every day, the fact that I made it to 45 is a miracle, because I nearly died in my 20s. I nearly died in my 30s. You know, like being every day, and also this sort of shortened lifespan thing hanging over my head. You know, I'm not going to be one of those people that is like, well, I've outlived Steve Irwin. Okay, it's on balance. It's fine, but at the same time, I'm still a human being, and there's still that that vanity that goes with being 45, because I've been going, well, what the fuck have I done with my life, right? I had lunch with a friend on Monday, and because I've been going through stuff and I've been tired, and she didn't mean it. I know she didn't mean it. She's just someone like me who just says the truth and doesn't realize what she's saying. And it was because I looked tired. So when I'm tired, I'm starting to get the eye bag thing, right? You can't see it here. You'll see it sometimes when the lighting is different and when it's pronounced. But when I'm really tired, I'm starting to get that eye bag, the old lady eye bag thing, right? That's a thing. But she turned around, she goes, "You aged dramatically." And I was like, no, I'm just fucking tired. So I've got to, that's the one thing I do want to get fixed. If you have any tips for that, other than getting sleep, because, I'm not going to do that. But if you have any tips for that, I know that you've got these like creams that tighten and stuff, but that is the one thing that I'm thinking of getting fixed, is the eye bag thing. But it's, yes, I know about the teabagging. I'm going to teabag myself at some point. But anyway, it has been funny, because there's just a wisdom, and it's very hard. If you're in your 30s, you sit there and you go, there's a point where you're like, when am I going to be wise? Am I wise yet? And somewhere in the mid 40s, if you're doing life right, okay? I know a lot of people in their 50s who are so lacking in self-awareness, like it's crazy. But I'm saying generally, if you're living life right, there's sort of like 43, 44, 45, 46. Hi, Stephen. I'm well aware that I have not replied to your DMs. I was hoping you'd show up. Not you. I'm so sorry. You have to be front of mind. You either exist in my face, in front of me, in the moment right now, or like you fucking don't exist at all. I apologize. I'm not normally that bad. It's just been a lot of stuff going on. But there is a thing where it just suddenly things just start to fall into place, and you start to realize your patterns, and you start to realize, like, one of the things that I've realized recently is how difficult I am to love, right? What hard work I am. And because I grew up, my grandmother was very hard work. Okay. She grew up in the Depression. She was actually I've talked about her a little bit before, but she actually was raised in, I've had to reverse engineer a lot of her stories, and I have assumed this. I need to get the records, but I don't think they actually exist, because my grandmother didn't talk a lot about the details of her life, but you can piece it together. But her mother was Romani. That's why I've got the colouring that I've got. And thankfully I don't have the nose. My grandma had the nose, but I don't. I've got my mother's face. But in Catholic Ireland, my grandma was born in 1931, and to a Roma mother who was a prostitute, basically, a loose woman. And my grandmother, I believe, grew up in her early years in a Magdalene laundry, in one of those, those Magdalene laundries for women. Now, there's no real record of her mother, so I have a feeling that she was one of those casualties of. I want to actually go back to Ireland and look into this more and find out more about it, and because it's because there's gaps there. But anyway, but she was very tough. Like her mother died when she was 7. Her little sister died not long after from a tonsillectomy. This is how far we've come in 100 years, by the way, where kids would die from a tonsillectomy. But again, reverse engineering it. So when she died, they sort of looked up her father, but her father took her half brothers, but not her. My grandmother was shipped off into a convent. She grew up in a convent and was raised by nuns. Then she got kicked out of the convent at 18, as you do, And I went to England, met my grandfather, worked in various capacities, and that was her. So she had a tough fucking life. Okay. Basically, she had issues. Okay. So she was tough to love. She didn't know how to receive love. And the way that she showed love was very confusing. And it's very funny because I've realized that I inherit that too. The way that I show love by allowing myself to feel, right? That thing about love and indifference, right? I find complex emotions difficult. That's part of being sort of, I don't think I'm on the spectrum. I think I'm just ADHD, but a little bit of spectrumy stuff. But complex emotions can be hard work for me too. And so anyway, but that's a whole thing. But it has been interesting because I've realized a few things collide. I think you just get enough life experience where you just observe a pattern of behavior. And it comes back to my turning 45 and my birthday. And, the decision to do comedy. A few things sort of going sideways in terms of a, friendship that I thought had, like these sort of, when friendships end that are important to you, that, that you have to look at your own contribution to these things. I think if you're a grown up, you will take responsibility and go, you know what, I fucked up here and here and here, right? Not blame the other person, right? I think that's the mark of maturity, is that you go, okay, what have I done here? What have I done wrong? My first impulse is, oh, I fucked up. What did I do wrong? How did I miscommunicate? How can I not do that in future? That's what an adult does. A child blames everyone and blames everyone else and never looks at their own behavior. I think that that's one of the benefits, I think, of getting enough life, especially when you've got, like me, like I got 2 marriages under my belt, hoping for a third, working on a third. But I've had friendships end, and I didn't grow up with a good family. Like I said, my grandmother raised me. My mother was not interested in me. And so my birthday brings up a lot of stuff, right? And so it's not just about turning 45 per se that I'm finding tough. There is that wisdom that comes with getting older. But don't worry, I'll be a little bit more lighthearted soon, okay? I'm going to talk about some of the other things. But it's just funny because not a lot of people talk about what it's like turning 45 and realizing that you haven't actually done anything that you wanted to do. And I kind of, and again, that part of that is having children young and sort of reaching a point. But I think with my particular life and my particular experience, it's interesting to see sort of your future close in on you. And again, it's not so much that I'm not 65, I'm 45, I'm still fairly young. But there's all these competing thoughts, especially around, because I've got adult children now. Well, my youngest is 15, but one is 23, the other is 18, okay? And you kind of start to think, okay, well, what's my life outside of that? Okay. Anyway, so that's a whole thing. But it's just funny because I realized that I'm actually really difficult. Well, first of all, like as much as there's this sort of this parasocial thing that goes on here. Okay. I share online. I share things of parts of myself online that I'm okay. Like if I'm sharing it online, I'm cool with it. Okay. Or it's exaggerated, or it's a story, or it's just, this is a persona. There's an element of persona in all of this, okay? But I am generally difficult to get to know. I'm a moving bar, and it's been quite funny seeing that manifest itself in a few different ways, like through, obviously, when you decide to pursue comedy, as I have, right? You have to sort of unpick yourself, right? You have to go through all of your stories and see some patterns and start to see those patterns emerge. But then you sort of have, the catalyst of your birthday. Like I have a lot of baggage around my birthday because I was always waiting for my mother to call. There was always that thing where large parts of my childhood were waiting for my mother to call, and that not happening. Okay, so there's always that where I was waiting for my mother to call and wish me happy birthday, and she never did. Okay, so that was always that stuff fucks you up. Okay, that stuff fucks you up forever, where you just go, the people that at least I can trust that person to call me doesn't call me. Okay, so that's one thing. Okay, And then obviously my grandmother who raised me, she was a hard nut to crack too, right? And it's just funny because I've found that I've become a sort of tough nut to crack as well. And it's like, it's funny because it's just interesting anyway. So turning 45, like again, statistically, women over 40 become invisible, like I said. I'm at that sort of, I've been in this weird professional flux for some time where the thing that I thought I wanted to do has somewhat disappeared. The options available to me professionally are limited. Obviously, I'm doing the Juris Doctor. It's not like I haven't done anything along the way. Like, it's funny because I made a joke when I was having lunch with my friend, and I said, basically, there's plenty of geniuses who are losers. And then I went like this, okay, which, I am. I'm a genius, but I'm a fucking loser. Because we were talking about that thing where, having talent versus doing the hard work, and talking about, we were talking about our kids, and my son's like a math genius. And I was saying that being a genius can make you a bit lazy, right? And so people who work harder at stuff and are consistent in their practice, that applies to comedy as much as it does to anything else. People who would put in consistent effort and do the work are more likely to succeed than those who are gifted but lazy, right? I happen to unfortunately fall in the gifted but lazy, and I'm always and because I have ADHD as well, so that's that compounds the whole problem. But that we were talking about that, but I turned around and I was like, "There's many a genius who's a loser," like that, and she actually took me seriously. Because, and I just kind of cried, and I was just like, I've been a bit fragile lately, let's be honest. But anyway, but it's just funny because so I'm going through a few different things, and also Paul's being made redundant, right? So it's been another thing where it's like there's lots of shifting sands, lots of, become a patron, okay? My husband's being made redundant now, thankfully but it's a tough market at the moment, so, there's no guarantees, and it's lots of shifting and moving, shifting things, okay? Tech is a bloodbath, not a lot of opportunities available, and we're both tech people. And so that's why I've just gone, well, I might have to give up the comedy thing. It's why I've kind of not really done the diaries as much as I'd hoped, because I don't know. Like, I want to do stuff. I would like to pursue it, but it's one of those things where it's quite incompatible with a normal life. In the sense that, if I go and have to go get a corporate job and eat my shit and go and do the thing, the stuff that I do is 12 hours a day. I can't be working all day and then doing comedy stuff at night and writing in the morning first thing. And it's just too much for someone who is my age. Okay, I'm not in my 20s. You've got to make different choices in your 40s that you do in your 20s. And so that's where I'm a little bit in flux. I mean, it would be nice if Patreon, or, my audience, if I committed some time to growing an audience and doing that sort of thing online where it was paying for itself, that would make things easier. But again, people don't have any money. Like, there's no point unless I can find, people who want to sponsor me. Like, it's tricky. Okay. So anyway, that's just what's going on in my head at the moment. But it is funny because I realized that I'm actually I'm sort of heading down the same path as my grandmother, in that I'm quite difficult to love, quite difficult to get to know. I have complex ways of showing that, like, if I like you, or if you're important to me, it's harder. I become harder work. If I am indifferent to you, you won't hear yeah. It's funny. You don't exist. Okay, you either exist or you don't exist, and if you exist, it's very difficult. It's like I'm very hot, cold, push, pull person. Like, I don't trust people easily, and one of the things with friendships is that also I'm used to this thing where, because I'm a smart ass and because I say what I'm thinking and I do that, friendships have a shelf life with me because people generally are drawn to me and they love me and they love what I say and they love that I'm funny and they love that I'm honest and they love that I'm honest. They love that I speak the truth. They like that I just riff and that I'm vulnerable and I do all this stuff until they're the butt of the joke and they don't like it, and then we're not friends anymore. That is a pattern that has emerged throughout my life. That's something where when comedians go through this, okay? A lot of comedians. One of the signs that you may be a comedian is that you have that pattern, which is that it is a lifestyle. It is a way of being, which is that you open your mouth, you say a thing, and, eventually you're going to alienate somebody. It's why so many struggle with relationships, and that's why I've had to give a lot of thought to whether I want to do that professionally because, I value my marriage. I don't want to upset people. There's ways to do it and still maintain these relationships, but it is difficult, okay? The comedians that I do know, they either are with other people who are comedians or they struggle, right? So it's kind of, yeah. So Stephen, no worries at all. Not that you have them, but believe it or not, Preparation H. Oh, hemorrhoid cream. Oh, I don't think we've got Preparation H here, but I've heard that. Anyway, I do actually have them when I'm tired. You can see them. See here, you can see them there. Like, they're getting there. But yeah, anyway. Oh yeah, hemorrhoid cream. That seems like the natural way that seems like a natural progression. Ass cream on my face. Cool. No, I might get a more permanent solution. We'll see how we go. But my family, the way that we age, I don't look like we tend to age fairly suddenly, but I've seen, obviously, my parents, most of my family are smokers or drinkers or whatever. I don't do either of those. So I might be like, again, I might age differently, but mostly my fat parents get the big eye bag puff thing under here, like that eye puff, skin tags, and jowls. Right, I've got the neck thing because I lost a lot of weight, but that's like that. That's partially a 40 thing, partially a having lost fucking 50 kilos thing. But I know that I'm one of those people that if I started to fuck with my face, I'd continue to fuck with my face, so I don't fuck with my face. But I might get the old, might get a little bit of stuff. We'll see how we go. It's early days. I thought that I'd be one of those people that would age gracefully until I started to see it, and I'm not doing so good. Especially with like the idea of being on stage and doing like entertaining like full time. It raises some of your body issues, so I'm sort of going through that as well. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But it's funny because I did realize that I'm quite difficult to get to know. I'm a tough. I really am. I'm very tough to. I'm not good at sustaining relationships and friendships, and I think part of the reason why Paul and I work is because we're I don't know, we work for some reason. It just works. It's not the most, it's quite funny. So like but it is funny because he bought me for my birthday, he got me a it's funny because I'm always moaning because my son is socially anxious and social phobic and autistic. He doesn't leave the house, okay? So he's got his own sort of back room. He does his thing. He's 18, does his own thing, but he's never out of the house. He just doesn't leave the house, right? That's something, it's just, you got to pick your battles, and that's something where, we're working on it, but, he basically doesn't leave the house. And I'm always cracking the shits and saying, hey, I'm never alone. I never get time on my own. I'll often just go out for a drive and go for a walk. I go out on my own a lot, like first thing in the morning, I'll go to the beach and stuff. I like my alone time. So Paul's funny because he wrote, because I also don't like people fucking up my plans. So I'm somebody who, if you fuck up my plans or fuck up my day, like if I give you time and I decide to give you my time and attention and you don't turn up or you are late, I don't like lateness. And again, that's just something that I find disrespectful. And again, it's not something that I get mad about if you don't have a good reason, but you've got to acknowledge those people who just show up late with no reason, and they don't think there's anything wrong with showing up late. They've got no excuse. It is just, oh, I'm here now. Those people, I don't like that. If you're late and you got stuck and you're sorry, then that's cool. Or if you just like can't make it or you can't do something, I find it just really disrespectful. I can't, I don't like lateness. I don't like tardiness because, again, I struggle with time. I have time blindness. If I can show up on time, anybody fucking can. So anyway, that pisses me off. So Paul said, this is what, in the lead up to my birthday, I'm getting to the point. In the lead up to my birthday, Paul was like, well, I know you don't like, because like one thing that we do when we're going out, we are, he doesn't, spontaneity isn't my thing. Okay. In that I like there to be somewhat of a routine. I like to be able to mentally prepare for going out and doing stuff that's on my, I like things to be on my own terms. That makes me quite difficult. I get it. Because I'm always moaning that never get surprised. Make it make sense. But basically what's going on is that so I'm always moaning that he like doesn't do anything spontaneous, and then he does something spontaneous and I go, you can't just disrupt my day. You can't win. He's just cruisy. So I think that's part of the reason why we work, is because he doesn't fight me on that. He just accepts that and goes, all right, well, I'll try my luck. I'm going to shoot the fish in a barrel and see if I get one. Right? That's kind of, yeah. So basically, because he knows I don't like people fucking up my day, or if I've got plans, I don't like people just assuming I don't have plans. I don't like people who don't respect the fact that I have my own time, my schedule, my own shit. I don't like that. So I don't like people who disrespect that. And so I get really, really shitty if, like, for example, we book a meeting and I drive to the meeting and people cancel it and I'm like out and they don't fucking like apologise. And I go, okay, that's something that just really fucking pisses me off. Anyway, because it sends a signal that like that you're more important than me, that my time doesn't matter. Like, again, same thing. I get annoyed at like doctors who like, again, I understand why, but it's like, that's what appointments are for. Run to time. I understand things happen, but don't just habitually make me sit there and wait for 2 hours because you can't be asked managing your time. Like that kind of thing, right? So I should bill you as well. Is this appointment free? Because my hourly rate is equal to yours. So maybe we call it even. Hey? Like that kind of thing. Right? I'm a cunt. But it's just, I'm a stickler for that. So Paul, on Thursday last week, he says, okay, so I wanted to surprise you, but I know you don't like changing plans, and I know that you want to know ahead of time. So what I've done is, this was my present. I've booked you into a resort in Bustleton, and you can decide whether you want to go alone or take me with you. And I, because he's like, basically, well, you're always saying you want to be alone. I know that you will not want to do that because you'll feel bad. So I'm making it clear that it's fine either way. And so I was like, well, of course you're coming with me because you should come with me. But anyway, so then he found out, then like last week he found out that he was going to, on Monday he found out that they're doing redundancies at his workplace, right? And so it was kind of a bit of a thing. So I was like, well, I'll go on my own. I wouldn't mind going on my own. I don't want to be on my own anyway because I hate you cunts. I want to be on my own. And it's about a 2.5 hour drive. And so I go there. I spend 2.5 hours driving, get there. I'm so tired. It's funny because he said, the only thing that I don't want you to do is fuck around on Twitter and work. You're not allowed to do that. You need to go and you need to relax. And I was like, yes, sir. Okay, I'll relax then. And then I was sitting there and I was like, what do people do to relax? I don't know. What do women do? And I'm like, well, this is where your literal autism brain kicks in and you go, well, what do other women do? I'm 45. I'm going to a resort. There's a spa there, maybe, or a spa bath in the room. I was like, I'm going to do a pampering, whatever that means. So I bought like stuff and so I put this mask on and like I had this idea of like, wearing a robe or like whatever. They didn't have any robes there, which I didn't pack a robe thinking there'd be robes. And of course, because you don't pack a fucking robe, there's no robes. But anyway, so I had a spa. I got there and I was like, okay, well, I'm 45 now. What I'm going to do is I need better foundation. I've noticed on camera that like I'm a bit like, normally I don't wear much makeup. I don't wear heavy foundation or anything like that. And I was like, well, I think it's time that I started actually like doing shit to my face because I'm getting old. So again, literal brain, 45 now. 45-year-olds need face cream and shit. Okay, so I'll go there and get face cream and shit, and I'll do a pampering session. And what I'll do is put everything on my face at once and then never do it again, because that counts. If I put the year's worth of skincare on my face all at once, it means I don't have to do it every day. I'm just catching up. So I'm just like putting all the shit on my face. So that's what I did. That took a couple of hours. And then I was tired, and Paul was like, order room service. And then they were like $40 for dinner, and I wouldn't eat because I don't eat much because, you know, I've got like no fucking stomach. So I just went out and got crackers and shit and had fun. And then I was so tired, at 8:30 I fell asleep. And then I woke up at 3 a.m. and I had another bath, and it was nice. And then it was like, I missed Paul. And then I had a friend who was basically, like, there was this whole fucking saga going on with a friend who messaged me, said they were going to call, and then they just fucked off and never apologized, didn't say anything. And that's been a pattern of behavior. And so there was that whole sort of underlying thing there as well, that conflict, and it was just fucking up my time and my day. And I was like, I miss Paul. I'm sick of this shit. I'm going to go home. So at 5:30 in the morning, I just went and drove the 2.5 hours back home because I missed Paul. And then I forgot he's being made redundant. He's going to be home every day, like until he finds another job, which, you know, I imagine he'll be fine. But like, it's just pretty funny because it's like he's going to be, and then I'm going to sit there moaning that he's at home all the time. So then last night I was like, you should go see your dad. I'm hard work. Should take some time, go see your dad in Queensland, I think. And then what he'll do is when he went to Queensland last time, my thoughts will kick in. Quiet is the noisiest fucking place for me, okay? He'll be in Queensland and I'll decide that he's had enough time to decide he doesn't want to be with me anymore. And then he won't message me and I'm like, oh, well, my marriage is over then. And then I'll miss Paul and then I'll be like, I was missing fucking 2 days. And I'm hard to love. What I'm saying is I'm hard work. I'm quite hard work. So anyway, so it's funny because you do, like, birthdays are just, the birthdays with the internet's even funnier because once you've been online for as long as I have and you've kept the same email address for like a lot, you start to just get all of the flood of emails. So I see it as an opportunity to sort of cleanse the timeline, cleanse the email lists and all that sort of stuff. Like, but I do find it funny that, I wrote this joke and I'm still working out how to deliver it the best. But the idea that like Kogan and Sephora like care about me more than my like mother. And like the joke that I've got is that like the upside is that like I did tear her to her anus. So I'd find that difficult to forgive too. I'd hold a grudge. It was like maybe if I'd like bought a USB cable from mum in 2017, I might be getting a text for my birthday, right? Anyway, that I butchered the delivery there, but that's the basic flow of the joke. But that was pretty funny. But it is because you do get these emails from like old forums, from every newsletter, every fucking thing, like everyone, like Instagram. Oh, I'll post a birthday post. Oh, and like it's like, oh my God. And so the thing that I do on my birthday is I just don't use the internet for the whole day. I don't use it. I just go offline. I turn off Twitter. And it's funny because every time, it's just so funny because I always say, I'm deleting the Twitter app. I'm going offline for 2 days. I last about 8 hours and then I'm using it in the browser and it's annoying me and it's annoying me. So then I just fucking reinstall the app. And it's like, just accept that you like X. You like Twitter. You're addicted to the fucking thing. Stop embarrassing yourself by quitting Twitter. 30 people liked the tweet where I said I was leaving, by the way. It's like, fuck you, cunts. Way to make one feel loved. Fuck you. Anyway, but it is funny because like there is like the thing about birthday wishes on social media is that there's like a hierarchy, which is like you've got your LinkedIn birthday, right? Which is the button mashing one. Happy birthday. From people that have been on there since that you don't talk to. Happy birthday. Button. Thanks. What am I supposed to say? You've created me work now. What you've done is you have created me work. You've mashed a button and now I have to mash a button in return. I'm not doing that. So I just ignore it. Then you've got the mashing button where they actually take the time to add a message. That's nice. or that you've been in touch. That's nice. That's a prompt. That's a reminder. That's good. Not the button mashing. I get annoyed with the button mash part. It's like, my birthday is not your fucking Candy Crush, dickhead. Get your dopamine from someone else. Go somewhere else. That's why it annoys me. So that's why, because this is just, there's baggage there, which is in the early days of Facebook, like people would start shit over birthdays because I don't use Facebook much. I never have. There's days when I'm on there all day because I'm fucking around, and then I can go for weeks not being on there. Days where I'm on, and when you're on there, it reminds you of they say it's people's birthday. And I had a friend, again, fucking drama. You wished them happy birthday, but not me. Fuck you. I was like, no, but I happened to be on that day. I didn't know. Sorry. Like that shit. It's like, fuck it. I'm just so sick of this phase. I'm just sick of drama. I think it's just internet drama in general. I'm just allergic. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of drama. And so you can really start to gauge who your actual friends are by the way that they interact with your birthday, right? And so you've got LinkedIn, the button mash, but then you have Facebook, which is a complex beast because that's got family and friends and acquaintances that you've gathered over the years and that sort of stuff. And so people, and again, I'm difficult, I'm inconsistent, but there is some logic to what I'd say, even if it doesn't make any sense, which is that what I'm looking for is a genuine effort. Genuine effort, a sincere gesture that says, your birthday came and went, you matter to me, here's a thing. Okay, if I perceive that I'm just like a dopamine fucking thing where you're using me, like you're just moving on from, my birthday is like your Farmville, okay, there's an old reference, but I'm just saying, like, it feels like it's just a fucking thing that you do. I'm like, fuck it, fuck you. Fuck you. I'd rather you said nothing. And it's funny because then I get mad that no one says anything because people are too afraid to wish me happy birthday because they think it's pretty funny. So it's like my own husband doesn't understand. Like, he's like, I thought you missed me, but then you're telling me to go. And then I was like, this is just what it's like living with me. I'm very hard to love. I love in weird ways. I have unconventional ways of loving. My love language is acts of service and attention and, those sorts of things. I'm hard. I'm conflicted. Okay. I find it very hard to be vulnerable because I have people that just get mad at me. So I try not to get too attached to people because over time, like, it proves me right. And again, I fucking often engineer that situation myself because I'm like feeling like scared, but that's okay. Anyway, my point is, Facebook wall birthdays piss me off. It's like I unfriend people. It's funny because it's like, if I haven't talked to you since the last time you said happy birthday on my wall, what the fuck? Unfriend. If I don't know you, if I haven't talked to you in like if the only time that you interact with me is to fucking write on my wall a glitter gif, happy birthday, that's about you. That's not about me. That's about you. Unfriend. Fuck you. Happy birthday. How fucking dare you wish me happy birthday? Unfriend. Motherfucker. If you take the time to message me, it's different. And if you have messaged me, I appreciate it. Okay. I'm behind on those things because I've been trying to take some time off. But then you've got the family who I don't really like, and they're fucking, it's like they're people who don't take the hint that I don't want to talk to them. And I'm hard to know anyway. But then Twitter's good. I like Twitter. Do you know why? Because Twitter birthdays are different. Twitter, it has your birthday on the profile and it shows my balloons when you're on the profile. But otherwise, it doesn't prompt you. So you've got to kind of go and look at my profile and see that it's my birthday or know that it's my birthday ahead of time. Or if I say it's my birthday and you wish me happy birthday, it's an interaction and it's like that you care, and that's a different dynamic, a different energy. Okay. And what I do, and I think early on, when I talk about like waiting for my mother to call, what I learned early on was that I think I learned to just sit back and observe people's behavior, and obviously that it makes me a bit of a cunt. Like, honestly, I'm not, it's not the nicest way to treat people. It makes me difficult. And it's usually how old grumpy cunts die alone. And that's what I've become aware of, is that you gotta reel it in a little bit, not be so difficult. Let people love you, Taya, that kind of thing. But but yeah, the Facebook thing is just really funny because It's basically like, fuck you. I know that you don't give a fuck. No one checks in on me anyway. Fuck you. Don't fucking dare write on my wall. Why hasn't anyone written on my wall? Unfriend. Unfriend everyone. Again, it's just, as long as it's a sincere thing, that's not an issue. But I think it's just because of the years of just, and again, there's a history with that, because I've got this history of hoping that people wish me happy birthday and hoping that people remember, and being disappointed and hurt by that. What I've learned to do is to just preemptively assume that, and also because this is the wisdom, right? Coming out at 45, which is your own patterns, which is that I've realized that I am drawn to people who say the right words but don't follow it up with actions, because I wanted to hear the words. So like wanting to hear a phone call with my mum with happy birthday would be the biggest thing. And like, for me, it's like, that's kind of like a kryptonite for people, for like friends and stuff, where they will just say stuff but never really follow through on things, right? And it makes me feel bad. And people who make me feel bad about myself, for some reason, I am more attracted to them, and I desperately need to win their approval. And so like, all you need to do to get in my favor is compliment me, because I don't get a lot of compliments. So I kind of, I sort of thrive a little bit on that desperate, again, this is just a lot of history of not really getting praise and not really having to self-validate. So when someone says, I think you're great and I think you're awesome, I'm not good at seeing the agenda behind it. So I've had to learn over the years. It's like my natural inclination is to fall for fucking comment, okay? I'm very gullible. And so my natural inclination, it could be an overcorrection, is to wait and only trust actions, not trust words, because words are meaningless. Unfortunately, words aren't always meaningless. It's both. But I think, one thing I've realized that I've sort of overcorrected for is that I focus too much on action and only action, and I can be a bit horrible and unforgiving with words. But that's mostly because the people who use words and don't follow up generally tend to be like, anyway, so that's just something that I realized, is that I am addicted to, there's like I'm addicted to feeling like shit in a weird way, right? I like people who, even I think the reason why Paul and I work is because he's not a talker and he doesn't communicate, so he keeps me guessing just enough to keep my interest, right? But he follows it up with actions, and so he's got, there's no mixed signals. But when there's mixed signals with people, I fucking go mental. I can't stand it. I like to know where I stand with everyone, because I let everyone know where they stand with me, right? As much as I can. Aside from, get out of my face, fuck you, also, come with me, I need you. You always know where you stand with me. I don't know what your fucking problem is. But yeah, anyway, so it's just been, it's been a weird few days where a few things have culminated. And also just thinking about like the whole comedy thing and the whole, all that stuff. But yeah, it's like intellectually, I'm grateful. Intellectually, I understand that people are nice. I'm not the center of the universe. The fact that they messaged me was nice. All of that stuff. Intellectually, yeah. But emotionally, I'm like, fuck you, unfriend, fuck you, that stuff. And it's just pretty funny. Hard work. I love you, though. And that's what, again, a lot of it is just because I'm also just really busy and ADD. And it's funny, I'm such a fucking hypocrite because I do it to people too. I forgot to reply to Stephen. The first thing I did was realize that I had to fucking reply to his DMs. I forgot. Because I do the same thing, and it's like, it's so funny. I'm such a fucking hypocrite. It's just hilarious, right? But yeah, it is pretty funny. So it has been a funny couple of days, but I am mostly just working. I'm just sort of, because of the whole redundancy thing, I do need to think more about how I can bring money in the door. It might mean that I have to park a few things and just, I might have to just do more corporate speaking, workshops, training. Again, there's no reason why that can't be entertaining and funny as well. And if anything, I'm probably made for that. But it's she says as she stammers with ums and ahs. Uh, but I am thinking of just how I can make money in the current economic climate whilst retaining enough freedom and autonomy to be able to do the comedy thing at night, because obviously it takes a lot. It's a lot of it's something that is very, very difficult to dabble in. It's just the nature of the beast is that it's a lot of rehearsals, a lot of writing, rewriting, nights, going to pubs, all that sort of stuff. And so you kind of you can't. It's not really. And again, at the level I'm at in corporate land, it's not like I have an 8-hour day. I have a 12-hour day. Right? If I go work at an agency, that's an all-consuming job, especially at the level. So I've got to think about whether do I just take an easy job? Do I just go and do something that's kind of mindless, work in a shop or something? I'm not saying that retail is mindless. I'm saying something that isn't as demanding of my time and energy, or so we're just thinking about it. And also Paul's job situation depends. Yeah, it depends on a few things. So we're just in a bit of flux at the moment. But I am just focusing on what I can focus on. I'm recalibrating my website. I'm finishing the courses. I'm still just writing every day, seeing what happens. But if you can become a patron, it would be very much appreciated. Mostly because it is a way of encouraging me as well. Do just give me encouraging words. As much as I said, I do like to hear encouraging words and engagement, and know that you value what I do. Some people, like when I was the other day, when I was saying that I wasn't doing so well, a bunch of people did reach out and say that I value you and what you do and what you say. I forget to say it, but I do. And that does actually keep me going. You might not be able to pay me, or you might not be able to afford it, or you might not be like a super fan. Might not be a stalker like Stephen. Kidding. You might not be, in a position to do that. But the encouragement does actually help me to keep going. I don't need a lot. And the same thing with money. I don't need a lot of money. I just need to know that I can grow it. I need hope. I need to know that if I keep going, it will pay off. I'm not so good if I feel like things are futile or pointless, or that there's a dead end, because I've got a lot of options in my life. And if there are things where that aren't a dead end, I will go to the thing that I can accomplish, not necessarily the things that I feel are a dead end, because that's called being an adult and not being an idiot. Okay, I'm not, like I said before, I don't want to be one of those people that still thinks they're going to be like a rock star in their 50s. I'd like to make a sustainable living doing comedy, but at the same time, thank you, Paul. Sorry, not Paul, Rawl. Hello, Rawl. LinkedIn chat's working good. Thank you. That's good to know. But I think people forget that when you are showing up and streaming and doing YouTube and those things, and you sort of do it and you don't grow. Like, I had a lot of my reach cut off. And again, some of it is my own fault because I haven't done the things that you're supposed to do. I know I've got to do the stuff. I know how to grow a channel, but it's just being stretched very thin. And I won't use exploited labor or interns or anything like that. You do feel like you're shouting into the void a lot. You do feel on your own a lot. And you do feel like it's futile. Like sitting here and talking to nobody. And again, I'm not saying you're nobody. I'm saying, you get what I'm not streaming to thousands of people at once. I'm streaming to, well, at the moment, it's 25. Okay. Which I appreciate very much. Across the platforms, I get about 1,000 views, okay, across everything, which is that's not shabby, but obviously it's not a sustainable thing that, you do, again, I tend to not compare because I run my own race, and also I'm aware that I don't do the things that you're supposed to do, okay, with clips and fucking all of that. If I actually did what I was supposed to do, I'd be fine. But you do see people who are kind of shitter, dare I say shitter, but they'll just say that they're happy to say the line. There's a bunch of streamers that have they're in culture wars stuff, and they just, and they're streaming to thousands and thousands of people. It's, it can be a little bit disillusioning that people only want me when I'm doing the stuff that I don't want, that I don't think is very good for discourse, first of all, for society. Like, I mean, I could sit there talking about wokeism and the politics and all that stuff, but it's like, well, one way of knowing that somebody is qualified in politics is that they're not involving themselves in this bullshit. They're talking about policy. They're talking about like, they're not just screeching over pronouns, because it's largely settled. That stuff is largely settled and known. Like, there was a period where people didn't know what this sort of stuff was, but it's been settled, especially within the left. Like, it's obviously a tool of distraction, keeping people fighting, and it's obviously a lot more entertaining. It's basically like a reality TV version, synthetic politics that gets people distracted, not thinking about policy. I mean, ask any conservative. I said this on Twitter this morning. It's like, well, ask them, like, when they're talking about the elites or these people, it's like, well, what policies, are you voting for that reduce that wealth gap? And the answer is zero. Okay, most conservatives are voting for gaps that, for increasing those gaps. Not, you get what I'm saying? Like, they're not supporting policies that redistribute income or make things fairer or make things more accessible for people. They're not, again, words versus actions. Be suspicious. If people are saying, that's the difference between someone who is sort of the left, or not even of the left, because the left have their own problems, but, if you're a policy and fact-driven person, it's not even about tribes, it's just about policy, good and bad. I'm only on the left because I believe in good policy, and I think the left, by and large, has the right policy that works, that is, it functions better. It's just a better way. It's like the conservative arguments, around austerity and the free market and all of this bullshit is, you end up with crypto. What you end up with is crypto and AI, wholesale theft of fucking copyright, all that stuff. Capitalism, it's like the argument is settled for the most part. And like, I've always said that I'm not a socialist because I am a socialist in the sense that it's an ideology. I'm a socialist because, by and large, they're correct. It's about correctness and data and what works and what policies are, yeah, anyway. But if they're not talking actual policy and end result and improving things, then it's just entertainment as far as I'm concerned. Okay? Who gives a fuck about pronouns in games? I don't give a fuck. Okay? I care about AI assets and copyright theft and wholesale copyright theft and the displacement of workers in gaming. If you're not talking about that right now, and you're worried about fucking pronouns in games, well, aren't you privileged? Fuck you. I don't care. Okay? And that's the distraction. That is the distraction, is that you're sitting there consuming that stupid content. And nobody's really talking about political outcomes or changing it or fixing it, or matters of policy, which are a lot more complex. And also people on the internet that talk about, like, the housing crisis is a good example of that, where there's, like, people act like there's only one policy that fixes everything. It's like you have a fundamental lack of understanding about how government works. Good policy works across you have multiple levers across different things. You have lots of different stakeholders, lots of different policies and laws. They all interact with each other to create a certain outcome. You don't just go, I'm going to create the Fix Housing Act. It doesn't work that way. You've got lots of different ways that you can do it. So part of it might be capital gains reform, negative gearing reform, tax reform, building more houses, fixing supply, fixing immigration, codifying, having a uniform real estate laws that protect tenants and stop land, blah, blah, blah. Reforms of then you've got levels between sort of federal, state and local government. You've got zoning regulations. You've got all of these things, right? And it's like, if you're not thinking about all of the potential things, rather than, this is something that I see the left do, right, online, is that you suggest one policy over here and you go, okay, well, we want negative gearing. You go, well, that's not politically viable, But what we can do is this, 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 and this. And they go, no, I want that one thing. It's like, well, no, the immigration thing. Oh, no, it's just immigration. No, it's immigration. If you're only fixated on immigration, you're a racist. It can be immigration plus supply, plus development, plus negative gearing, plus capital gains, plus zoning, plus greedy landlords, plus Airbnb, plus, all of these things. It can be lots of things, okay? And unfortunately, when you, and this is where that's not a thing that people on YouTube find interesting. They want to just yell at the fucking immigrants on, it's like, okay, well, let's just do that then. Let's just blame, there's no single cause and there is no single solution to most of the big problems we've got right now. It's, lots and lots of things. And a lot of it is thankless work. A lot of it is done via regulation and by courts and by, they take time to implement. Like, it's just, anyway, that's my frustration. Okay. This was not the comedy part, but I'm just saying, like, this is where I find myself, which is why, I'm doing more writing. What I'm going to do is write more essays, but make them more humorous. But I'm not going to put pressure on myself to make it pure humor either. So just sort of refine the edges. And because again, and obviously I am qualified to talk about policy and tech law and those sorts of things. So I don't want to throw that baby out either. Not everything has to be funny. I'm just trying to find that balance. And that kind of that this hesitation, that plus the fact that my website needs to be redesigned, I've got to do that. I will be doing that. But you need to know what you're doing and what you're writing and what your output's going to be before you design. You need to design around the content that you create, not design the content around, not create the content around the design. It's like bad design practice. But I will get there. But I'm pretty close to knowing what I want to do. The only variable here now is whether I have to go and position myself to do corporate work and get a job, or whether I have to, and because if Paul's jumps into another job, then we'll be okay and I can just continue. But if not, then obviously I have to man up and do the fucking thing. So having funny, ranty stuff is good when you are self-employed, but it's very, very difficult to I'm already insta-rejected by fucking AI anyway. But at the same time, I would like to stay independent as best I can. I'm just trying to figure out how to do that and still live in a cost of living crisis and all of those things, like everybody. Okay. But we'll get there. But so this is just, anyway, I'm going to go. It's under an hour, so we're good. I've got to go and finish doing some stuff now. I will be, I wanted to give you a quick thing, like where I'm at, and watch back the birthday thing, because there's a bit there, but I'm just still, obviously, I haven't delivered it well because I didn't write the jokes yet. I'm just thinking about it. But, it is good to be 45. Scary, especially because I also know that if I try to go get a job, a corporate job, I'm already going to be discriminated against. So it's almost like things get chosen for me anyway. If I just open myself up to the universe, I'm sure it'll, and do the right things and work hard, I'm sure I'll be okay. But it's just a bit hard to show up and do this. And I can't even go full on into a stream because I don't want to burn any bridges if I'm in the job seeking process. And I can't really go all in on comedy because I don't want to cut my nose off and not be able to get a job. But I also don't want, it's a tricky bind, but I'll get there. Just hang in there with me. I appreciate you. So become a patron if you can, or whatever, or just, give me encouragement. I'm happy to have encouragement. Share me with people. Rant and rave about how wonderful I am. I like that. And I really I like it when people interact on LinkedIn. Like, it makes me feel like what I'm doing actually says, has some degree of influence, and I like that. But I am going to start doing more. There's too many things. There's too many things, and too many thoughts, and too much unfinished writing. I am going to try and publish something like in the next day or so. But it's just, I can only do so much, and I'm just fucking exhausted. So, but I am doing the best I can. Please forgive me, and I'll be back soon. I love you. Thank you for your precious life seconds. Is that going to come up? No.
What a load of old shit!
Oh, yeah.
What a load of old shit!
Elon!
Is this one?
Elon!
You ready?
Uh-oh, retard alert!
All right. Anyway, that's me. I love you. I got to piss. Oh, yeah, I should have a drink. Have a drink. Apparently, I'm a hard nut to crack. Peace in the Middle East, etc., etc. And take care. I love you. Talk soon. Probably Monday. I'm hoping to get my shit together next week. I promise. I hope. But please be patient. I love you. Bye. I don't know. I just like streaming. I really don't know. I have no plans. What am I doing with my life? I really thought that I'd have my shit together by now. I really did. I had mourned my potential. I kind of decided to just settle down and, but I look to everyone. Is everyone like this? Is everyone this lost at this age? Like my mum and my parents, like they didn't have it all together, but I thought they had it more together than they, like, what the fuck? At least people had a house. I need a house. Can someone buy me a house? It would solve a lot of my problems. I'll fuck a billionaire for a house. Hit me up. Love you. Is it going to stop?